Wet though she was, Ida sat down. Under the cover of her desk, she slipped off her shoes. She was aware that if she so much as peeked at Tom, she would burst out laughing again. "I'm sorry to have come at such an awkward moment," Miss Sedgwick began, addressing Ida as well as the class. "I should begin by commending you all for your desire to be in school. As far as I'm concerned, there's no harm in your studying together. In fact, I admire it greatly. If you wish to allow Miss Bitson to be your unofficial teacher, there's nothing wrong with that either." The other children burst into applause. Ida allowed herself a big smile. The desire to laugh eased. "However," Miss Sedgwick said with new severity, "as for getting credit for what you're doing, that's quite another matter. Credit for the term will require passing an exam given by the county." Tom raised his hand. "For the 8th graders? Is that what you mean, ma'am?" "For the 8th graders, certainly, but here's the choice I offer. I'll keep your secret, but in return, you all must take a final exam." "All?" Ida said, now serious. "All," Miss Sedgwick repeated. "Me too?" asked Mary tremulously. "You too, my dear." "I thought tests were just supposed to be for Tom and Ida," Herbert objected. "Young man, you have changed the rules here," Miss Sedgwick replied. "Now I have too. You can't get credit for taking a full term unless we see what you've truly mastered it." "Miss Sedgwick," asked Ida, Can I see the exam so I can make sure to know what to teach?" "But then the results would only tell us what you taught your students, Miss Bitson, not what they know." "No, my dear, just continue as you've been doing. The test will allow me to see what you have accomplished. Agreed?" No one spoke. "Is that a yes or a no?" Miss Sedgwick asked. "We've been doing everything by voting," Ida said. "Then please, feel free to vote," Miss Sedgwick urged. Ida stood up. "Those in favor of everybody taking the exams like Miss Sedgwick says, raise hands." All hands except Herbert's went up. "I'm afraid," Miss Sedgwick said, "this won't work unless everyone agrees." She turned to Herbert. "Young man, would you reconsider?" "Ah," he scowled. "If I take that exam, I'm just gonna fail it." "Herbert, please," Ida pleaded. Herbert stared down at his desk. Once more, Ida said, "Those in favor?" This time, all hands, including Herbert's, rose. "Good," said Miss Sedgwick. "Then I shall be here bright and early on the morning of June the 7th to conduct the examinations. I presume for you too, Miss Bitson?" "Yes, ma'am." "So if you please, just give me each student's name and grade level." Ida found a piece of paper, and while the class looked on in silence, she provided the information. Miss Sedgwick took the paper, folded it up, and placed it in her purse. "I wish each and every one of you good luck," she said, and started for the door. Reaching it, she paused. "Two more things," she said. "I urge you to inform your parents and the school board about what you're doing. And Miss Bitson, do get into dry clothing before you catch your death of cold." The children waited until they heard the sound of a car driving away. "I suppose," Ida said, "we'll just have to work harder. And there's one more thing," Herbert called out. "What's that?" "No more swimming." When Ida and Felix got home that afternoon, Ida went right to the kitchen. Her mom was at the big plank table kneading their weekly bread. "Ida," she cried, "what happened to you?" "We had some fun at school today," Ida said ruefully. Mrs. Bitson gave her daughter a look. "Ida, are you teaching or playing games down there?" "I'm teaching, Ma," Ida said hotly. Then she told her everything that happened, including the unfortunate visit by Miss Sedgwick. "Now the whole school has to take exams," Ida said. "I've ruined everything." "If you had," her mother said, "that woman would have said so." "In the whole time I've been teaching," Ida said, "it was the only fooling I've done. Anyway, it was fun," she pouted. "The most fun I've had in a long time." "Ida, a teacher will always be held up as an example to her students." "That's not fair," Ida burst out. "I'm a person, too. I should study electricity like Tom, or play with a printing press. No one thinks he's bad when he's fooling." "Speaking of bad, I'm afraid I have more unfortunate news," said her mother. "I met Herbert Bixler's pa when your father and I were at the feed store today. He complained to me that Herbert is wasting his time going to school. Said he wants to go to the school board and complain that you're keeping the school open." "He didn't." "Well, perhaps he was just talking big. Ma, you know what I think? I think Mr. Bixler doesn't want Herbert to come to school at all." "I'm just telling you what he said." "Or maybe Mr. Bixler's mad at me because I went down to his place," Ida confessed. "Did you? Why?" "Ma, it's what teachers do. Herbert hadn't been in school. I'm supposed to find out why. You know what Mr. Bixler said? Said Herbert's schooling doesn't matter. Honey, Mr. Bixler's wife died when Herbert was still a baby. Mr. Bixler's had bad luck on his farm. Lost a whole lot of sheep because of disease. Folks say his debt is piling up. He's not a happy man. Unhappy folks do unhappy things. Do you think Mr. Jordan already knows what we're doing? Ida, in this valley, sooner or later everybody knows everything about everybody. You could tell him yourself, you know. He'd only say no. A frowning Ida sat down before the kitchen table. Is there something else? Her mom asked. Ida said nothing. Is it Tom? Ida shook her head. Can't be any worse than what you've already told me, can it? Her mother coaxed. Ma, I've been working so hard at teaching I've been letting my own studying go. Way I'm going, I'll be the only one failing the exam. Well, Miss Bitson, however you decide to head off that problem, I suggest you start by getting into some clean clothes.